Professor Sachs, what a pleasure to see you once again.
Thank you. Delighted to be with you.
Professor Sachs, what do you make of the significance of an expanded BRICS? 10 members now, and there are more waiting in the line to be joined.
This is a major geopolitical change, no doubt. Basically, these are very large countries. Of course, China, India, Brazil, Russia, South Africa, the original 5, and now many major new members of the BRICS, Iran, the United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, Egypt. This is a group which includes nearly half the world's population, more than a third of the world's GDP. And there's a determination of this group not only to forge strong relations among the BRICS members, but also very strong relations of the BRICS members with all of the emerging and developing economies. There's also a determination to resist the kinds of pressures that have come from U.S. unilateral sanctions in recent years. And I think that the BRICS will basically demonstrate that it is not feasible any longer for the United States and its allies to impose these unilateral coercive measures, which are against international law, but until now, were hard to resist for individual countries.
We see an expanded BRICS. However, some argue the unity of the BRICS on some of the most important issues that is core to the existence of BRICS and needs to be strengthened. Professor Sachs, what do you make of a more diversified and yet can be different members from one another within BRICS?
I think that the expansion of the BRICS is very helpful for the BRICS countries, but also, in my view, for the world. What we're seeing with the BRICS is the formation of a truly multilateral world. And we're seeing, because of the actions of the BRICS, the determination of the BRICS countries to say, look, we subscribe to the UN Charter, but not to the unilateral pressure of the United States or a few countries. And I think this is a correct approach. With more countries joining in, basically there will be more opportunity for an emphasis on peaceful, sustainable development, on cooperation of new financial flows, a new monetary approach as well. And while my hope always is that the world hangs together and doesn't simply fall into competing blocks, because that is very dangerous, I think the BRICS can be a stepping stone to a true global system, but a truly multipolar system, not the kind of U.S.-led system that the United States has perceived for decades and is an idea that is way out of date. It was never really applicable, but it's certainly far from reality now.
What do you think, Professor Sachs, of the concerns some expressed about, the nature of BRICS, whether it is a mechanism that is providing alternative, but at the same time, how to make sure it is not going to be a mechanism that is literally anti-West, or even more importantly, not being labeled as anti-West?
Well, I think the problem here is the U.S., for example, is, without any hiding it, anti-Russia. Okay, it's not even close. The rhetoric out of the United States is literally defeat Russia on the battlefield. There's ugly rhetoric out of Europe, divide Russia into little pieces and so forth. I think from Russia's point of view, the BRICS is partly a solution to this, frankly, which is like-minded countries, very significant, very substantial, that have friendly relations and that want to handle matters not on the battlefield, but actually collegially and even finding common solutions to what has been a lot of bullying by the U.S. Now, I use these terms because though I'm an American, I've been saying to American government officials for decades, if you want other countries to use the US dollar, don't bully them, don't confiscate their currencies, don't freeze their reserves. And so what I'm saying is something I've been saying for a long time, which is that in a way, the US is pushing lots of the rest of the world together. It's not that they're coming together intrinsically in an anti-Western way. It's that the US is putting sanctions all over the world. It's sanctioning a tremendous number of countries, dozens of countries. It vastly exaggerates its power, and it applies sanctions that the UN General Assembly has said for many decades are simply illegal, because sanctions should be approved by the UN or not used in this coercive manner. So I believe that the BRICS is, as long as the BRICS continue to say, which they have been saying, and I really call on them to continue to say it, that they stand for the UN Charter, that they stand for multilateralism, that they stand for peaceful cooperation. It's not fair to call them anti-Western. What they are is anti-coercion by the West. That's a quite different thing.
Professor, on the other hand, we also see some economies and countries interested in joining the BRICS or coming into the conversation of BRICS. However, we see some of them yet to make their commitment, even though they are some of the largest economies and emerging economies in the world. So how do you see this, shall I say, hesitancy, as some describe, among some of the countries about the nature of BRICS and whether they want to be part of it?
Well, part of it is the hesitancy comes from U.S. pressure directly. Don't join the BRICS. And so countries that are part of traditional U.S. security relations, for example, are being told, under no uncertain terms should you join the BRICS. And so that's where hesitancy comes from. They may feel that this is a good deal, that they want closer relations with China, that they want an expanded relationship, for example, with the Belt and Road Initiative, which I regard as an extremely positive and important global development initiative. And countries are benefiting from that close relationship with China. So they want to be part of the BRICS, but the United States often is saying, don't do that. That's against us, and so forth. Well, the main argument that is pushing many countries in the other direction is the kind of hostility and, I'm sorry to say, arrogance that has come from the U.S. and its allies, from NATO, for example, for a long time. NATO's doctrine, its literal doctrine, Article 10 of the NATO Treaty, for example, on NATO expansion, is that NATO expansion is not the business of any third country. So if the U.S. wants to expand NATO into Ukraine, it's literally under NATO doctrine, no business of Russia, even though it's all about Russia and it's on Russia's border. Well, that's a kind of arrogance or hubris that has led to this enormous backlash. Countries that are aiming to join the BRICS feel that they're not even listened to, and they face heavy costs from the U.S. and its allies who take measures that are against their interests, that are even dangerous for them. They tell these other countries, don't trade with Russia, for example. And these countries say, but we have normal relations with Russia. The United States says, no, we will sanction you, we will punish you, we will cut off your banks, and so forth. That actually doesn't work. But that kind of bullying pushes other countries to want to join the BRICS.